Well, welcome back to another episode of Conflict in Cuisine. Today is June 5th.
Yes, it is. Cinco de Junio.
June 5th, 1944. The D-Day. No, it's 2025, but that was like a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, so today is June 5th, and today we're going to do something a bit different. As you can see, there's some things on the table, which she will explain in a second. So it's going to be a bit different. We usually call it conflict in cuisine. I'm your host, Seth Frantzman, and this is the other host,
Erica Schachne, and I do the magazine in Jerusalem, and today I'm doing beverage service.
And explain it.
Okay, sure. So the reason I said Cinco de Junio, as in Cinco de Mayo, is because we thought we'd really bring to life the cuisine aspect, or drink aspect at least, of our podcast. So being that it's really summer, like not officially according to the equinox, but according to Israel, it's been summer for like a month already, and that means beach. Beverages have increasingly become more popular in cans. Alcoholic beverages to the beach, to mangals, to barbecues, to picnics, cookouts, whatever you. So there is a lot more selection, let's say, outside Israel and America, but I found a few really good ones with low alcohol content, 5%, except one that is 7%. So you can have a little kick without getting completely plastered, if that's your desire. And they're easily portable. Bring them to the beach. So today we're going to try 4 of these out, and we have them facing the camera because we are not sponsoring anything today.
No, they're facing us.
Right. We have the
This
back.
is not about the brand. This is about the type of thing and what's in it, and because obviously in some cases you might have multiple brands that make things like mojitos or gin and tonics or Jack and Cokes or whatever.
Even like Moscato in a can.
Yeah.
So we're going to taste them and give our opinions. I think we should rate it from 1 to 10, and with our commentary, of course. And
just before we get there,
yes,
you were saying that it's a new thing that alcohol or beverages
fairly new
come in a can.
Yeah.
Originally, alcohol was fermented in ceramic jugs. Like if you go back to the time of Samson or the Temple period or whatever, we
find them.
Well, it talks about wine and things like that.
Right.
They would be what, in a ceramic jug with a kind of giant cork in the top?
I think so. I mean, there were individual jugs, and then they were down below the ground, like as in cellar to ferment properly. But I guess barrels were later, or was that more for cider?
Right. Well, I think barrels are made out of wood.
Right, exactly. So ceramics.
When you make a barrel for wine or when they do, sometimes the barrels will be reused, right? Like cherry casks or oak or whatever. And
they chop them up and use them for firewood?
No, I'm saying that.
I'm kidding.
I'm saying that, like, I think when they make rum and certain things, there's certain types of barrels that like sherry was already in it, and then it's reused for something else.
Perfect. I love a good cherry cask.
Right. Yeah. So they might be different types of alcohol or whatever, but the cask is wood that is somehow bent, I guess, after being probably heated or something. And then usually later on there's some sort of, I think there's a metal band that goes around it or something.
Right, or some sort of band. That's why the classic look is like 2 bands, one on the bottom, one on the top. Yeah.
In the time of King David, they would take alcohol into war, but you couldn't carry all these ceramic pots because they'd break. So they would put it they would take an animal skin, like the guts of some sort of an animal, and they would pour the alcohol in, so you'd get
a flask. That's right.
That's the word flask comes from the word alcohol flesh pot thing. Right.
And then they'd say skol.
Right.
So that's why it's.
And it wasn't very healthy, I think.
No, it doesn't seem healthy, and it might taste a little leathery and meaty. Ew.
Right. So we've got to come a long way.
We have, and I think war is probably more crazy yet enjoyable when you're a little tipsy.
I guess, yes, that's right. I mean, it drives people to drink, I suppose. And we should say it on the program. We're not encouraging drinking.
We're not encouraging drinking.
And, of course, people should do that in moderation and, keep it down to once a week or so.
Go to AA or Aleph if you're having a problem.
Do we have that in Israel?
I don't know.
I know that in like Spanish-speaking countries, they have Alcohólicos Anónimos.
Anonymous?
No, I used to see that in South Tucson, in the Spanish-speaking part of town.
Yeah.
There'd be ads for that in
Spanish. 12
12
steps, and I think that's just a universal model.
Dosis, right? How do they say it in Spanish?
Oh, I don't know.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete,
Nueve
ocho. It's one of those.
diez plus
Yeah, so it's like
toast.
that.
Diez plus dos steps.
Right.
The first step is admitting you have a problem. So we have a problem because we have to try these, and they're not going to try themselves.
Right. So why don't we try the first one, and then we
Well,
can go on to a topic.
Let's do that. Okay, because we have a great topic to talk about
We do.
today. And so, Seth, will you do the honors? We have a classic mojito here, 5%
Why
alcohol.
is it called classic?
Because it's not flavored with anything, and we'll get to that after. Okay.
Oh, that's.
Oh my, that's quite the pour, Seth.
Is that too much?
Okay. So
Wait, why is it called classic again? As opposed to
because
non-classic?
there is
As
another
opposed to
flavor that
non-classic?
we'll be trying after. And the classic mojito is what? It's like sugar and rum and
Classic mojito, you take the mint and you take a bunch
Right.
of mint leaves, you put them in something that you can smash them in. You
right,
smash the mint, and then I think you add sugar,
right.
and then you kind of grind that down, so everything's being infused. And then you'd have white rum, and then you'd have, I think, soda water. And that is all
delicious.
kind of smushed together, and
Right.
it is quite delicious.
In a beautiful brew. And I had the most amazing mojitos in Puerto Rico, of course. And the most dietetic mojitos were in Miami, where I could put Splenda in them.
Oh,
I know. That was
Okay.
ridiculous. Okay, so I just want to say also that it says biscotti on these cups, even though I'm covering it, and we are not advertising anything today.
but
So it
biscotti is
happened.
just a general name, like.
Oh, it is. Okay, so it's a general
No, I don't
name
just
for a
have no
pastry.
idea.
There is a store like that,
Okay.
but we are not advertising it. I just happen to have these in my office. So cheers, l'chaim,
Chin chin.
to a healthy and productive summer
Yes.
of drinking cans. I'm going to make a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol nivro. It's a little bit bitter, no? Is that how it's supposed to be?
Is it supposed to be poured over ice or something?
I guess, and if you add, I guess, a lemon, I would want more sugar.
What you should do with this is basically make an actual mojito and then just chuck this out and have that one.
So do you use this to like water your plants or your like fake plants, your potted palm?
Not sure the plants would appreciate that. Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know. To me, I feel like I just brushed my teeth and had a beverage. So I am not wild about it, I gotta say.
So you'd say this is like a 2 on a scale of 25.
I'd give it a 4 because it's palatable.
5%
You can.
alcohol, lime, sugar, water, something else.
How do you screw up sugar
They
water?
have lime juices in this, supposedly.
Oh, lime is good. That's hard to get here
Something
in
else
Israel.
but it's not really clear.
Some additive.
E414. That's probably something that.
I mean, I'll tell you the most
what's his
embarrassing.
name,
What?
What's his name, Mr. Kennedy? The
Oh,
Make America
RFK.
He would object to probably.
He might have ruined the mojito, but well, I'll just tell you, before I became a knowledgeable wine drinker, when I was in my early 20s, I came to Israel and they took us to a classic steakiya on Agrippa
Right.
Street here in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And they served us red wine.
In a box.
No, an actual bottle. But anyway, I, at the time, knew nothing about wine, and all I liked was that sweet style, just,
Manischewitz.
you know, yeah, or at the most, Moscato. So being the ridiculous child that I was at the time, I took little pills of sucralite and I put it inside the wine to make it sweeter. And that is how I desecrated some wine. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. So I would never do such a thing again.
But now you'd say that you're more knowledgeable. So you've had 4 or 5 types of boxes of wine. You're able to tell which box is better.
Right. If I want to spend like 2 shekels. Do they even sell boxed wine
No,
in
that's
Israel?
one of the tragedies of Israel, I think, is that they don't have wine in a box.
Like Franzia?
Israel's wine industry has not reached the boxed wine heights of wine.
What's the opposite of an apex?
The low wine is
The
like
rock bottom.
Cab Franc, Pinot Grigio, whatever, at the bottom, and then box wine would be at the top.
Right, of that pathetic pyramid.
Right.
So, I mean, I would have this. It's tasting a little better, maybe because it's starting to hit. What would you give this? I gave it like a 4 or 5, perhaps. I mean, if I'm on a beach and I have
Over
a
a bit
can
of
of
ice?
this, yeah, it's not bad.
Well, it's hard to judge because we haven't had all the other ones.
Okay, so I'm going to pour this. I guess I'm going to chug some
Just
water.
chuck it on the floor. Isn't there a trough here, or what do they have, a spittoon?
Yeah, they have those at the wine
Have you
festival.
seen that film Sideways?
Yes, one of my all-time favorites.
There's a great scene in that, right, where he keeps asking for, he's angry and he asks for like a glass, and they give him like this tiny pour because he's supposed to be sipping it. And he says, I really want a glass. And then he grabs the spittoon thing and he just drinks it.
Okay, is that the main character?
Well, there's two guys in it.
Right.
Like there's, I forgot the name of one of them.
Thomas Hayden Church.
He's very well, no. Oh, the one of them is the smaller, fatter one. He's more well-known. He was in the recent film, The Holdovers, and he's been a bunch of
He's a great actor, yeah. He was
the
in
other
Billions.
guy, I don't think we've seen as much, but...
It was two buddies going on a bachelor trip.
That woman, by the way, ended up in that doctor show, isn't it?
Frances, or whatever her name is. I know what you're talking about, the female romantic lead.
Right,
Yeah.
I thought she's in it as well, but that was prior to...
Okay, so
Grey's Anatomy, it's called, which I think is just an awful show.
Sandra, you're talking about the second female lead. Okay, I'm going to give you a little water to cleanse the palate, and then we're going to try our next one, which is another style of mojito.
Okay.
It is a watermelon mojito.
Let me just make sure I strategically cover it up so there's no...
God forbid there's no...
Okay, what is this, watermelon?
It's a watermelon flavor of mojito.
Now, why would you do that?
Because, look at that color. It's like a very bright, vivid...
By the way, that's an interesting question. How much do you think the color influences how you feel about it? Because, taste is related to smell.
All the five senses, right?
Well,
touch.
Taste is not related to touch. I mean, maybe it is. If you touch something that's incredibly disgusting, would you really want to taste it?
Or a kiwi, it's got a texture.
Right. I think that's one of the things. Kiwis do taste good, but I think the fact that you have to it has this like weird fur.
Through the hairy fur.
It literally looks like it's like a small mammal. It's like of all the
mammoth,
fruits,
a baby mammoth.
Of all the fruits, it's the one that's most mammal-like. And I think that perhaps is a drawback to how you feel about it, because you're like, well, this kind of looks like a small rat or something.
It has a beating heart. You don't want to eat that. But,
right.
But I will say that Aperol Spritz, when I see the color, it really does me good.
That's what I'm saying. So I think the color actually is influential, because like if this was brown, you'd just be like, oh.
I'd be like, is that root beer or just something horrific? Yeah, but I actually like this color. It works on the beach.
So the question is, even if this isn't as good as that,
will we be influenced?
The color might make us think it's better.
Okay, let's see.
Maybe you should close your eyes next time on the next one.
Let's close our eyes. Proust. Okay.
Slanja.
It has like an ersatz watermelon taste.
Those ersatz is something the Nazis used to talk about.
It tastes very artificial to me.
This is vile. I mean, whoever invented this should be sent away to...
Well, we have some left over of this.
No, I don't want that mix.
No, let's mix it. I'm curious how it is.
This person who made this should be sent to North Korea, and he was probably in charge of the ship that... Remember, did you see the story in North Korea where they were launching like a destroyer or a new boat, a naval boat? And it's, how sometimes they kind of push them into the sea like a kind of a whale relaxing on the beach and being pushed back into the water?
Yeah,
anyway,
that's not very relaxing.
The boat didn't go relaxing into the water and like trot away.
Did it capsize?
It immediately capsized. And the North Koreans were like, oh, this is embarrassing. So then they took a bunch of blue tarps and like covered it up so the satellites wouldn't see it.
Did Kim Jong-un find out?
Kim Jong-un was nonplussed, and all those generals of his that run around going like this, that have like more medals in their chests.
And pads of paper that they're always taking notes of what he says.
That have all been now.
They were like, do not capsize boat next time.
It just didn't work.
And they always laugh when he's around.
Oh yeah, it's a great.
So I hope Kim was not on the boat. We would have heard about it. Ooh, that is vile, as you said. Oh,
just throw this one away.
Let's spittoon this. Here, go ahead.
I don't want to mix in this trough. Keep that away from me. I'm fine.
You're going to drink that? Okay.
I'd prefer that than to see that mixture of trough water.
Okay, so we're trying something completely different now. But
wait, let's go.
Oh, should we talk about...
Let's talk about something productive.
Speaking of boats.
That's right, speaking of boats.
The Flotilla.
The Flotilla of one.
Of one plus acolytes.
The Free Gaza or whatever it is, Flotilla thing.
A la the original, the OG Mavi Marmara.
That was in 2011, right?
Yeah, so now it's 2025, 14 years later. And who is this? Greta Thunberg? So how old is she now? 20? So she was 6 when Mavi Marmara was around. An impressionable young woman.
No, the age 22 minus.
6.
Oh,
So
yeah,
now
you're
she
right.
was.
It is like 6 or 7.
Yeah, so that explains her idiotic decision making, the choice to do what, Seth?
Well, the Mummy, right, so the Mummy Marmara that back in 2011
Was Turkish.
was run by the Turkish, I think it was run by this group called IHH. But anyway, it was basically a small cruise ship that they tried to break this blockade. Israel,
faux
they had
blockade.
800 people on it or something. Israel sent in special forces, and they dropped them onto the thing, but they gave the special forces guys paintball guns, apparently, because they didn't really want people to get killed. The special forces guys roped onto the boat at night, and they were
It's like a Steven Seagal film.
It was like
Under Siege.
Then what happened is the people on the boat attacked these special forces guys.
That doesn't seem
So
very
then more
peaceful.
guys had to rope in and shoot a bunch of these activists.
What a shame.
And like 9 or 10 of them got killed. And then obviously the Turks were not happy about it. The boat, I think, was towed dud. The people were taken off and sent home. And
on a barge, I hope. I think there was a Nobel laureate on the boat. I hope.
an
elderly Nobel laureate.
On that boat was Hanine Zouabi was on it, I think.
Oh, what a shame that she was inconvenienced. Our old friend, the member of Knesset, who is a secular Arab woman, so we like that. She wasn't so fond of Israel, was she?
I think not. But anyway, so fast forward to this year, or actually, I think this project of theirs started last year, but the idea was to have a boat and break the blockade of Gaza.
And wear some Urban Outfitters keffiyehs and look all stylish.
Yeah, it's like an advertising campaign, probably, for some TikTok.
Who are they sponsored by? Probably these cans of, beverage.
Right. So they got this. So their original boat, I think, was some other boat that then had all these problems. It was off the coast of Malta or something.
It's like a rowboat?
No, it was like a bigger boat, and it had problems and it got stuck or something. So then
marooned in Malta.
So now they're on a sailboat now, I think, called the Madeleine.
Sailboat. So who's handling the aft?
I don't know who's on the helm, but Greta Thunberg is on it.
She's the captain?
And isn't there an actor from Game of Thrones?
Yes, I forgot his name, but Liam something.
He played the Onion King, I think.
He is such an onion. I mean, that guy's an idiot.
So they're sailing to Israel.
He's a Muppet. He's an Irishman, which is very surprising that Irishmen don't like Israel. I think.
So they're trying to get here on a boat, and they were off the coast of Crete, I think, on Greece a day ago.
What did Greece ever do to them?
Well, no, but they were, and then they said a drone was buzzing over them, and they shot all these videos that looked like that Blair Witch Project, where they're like
shaky cameras.
Yeah, they're like in these life preservers from back in the day, and they're like, we've done a distress call. There's a drone. We're worried. And it turned out it was a Greek Coast Guard drone. It wasn't an Israeli drone.
Because the Israeli drone downed the last flotilla earlier this year, I think. I mean, it wasn't, I don't think they confirmed it, did they?
They accused
Yeah, the other ill-fated flotilla. So apparently, in keeping with our theme, were there beverages on that boat?
I think that Greta has been seen to be drinking something, right?
Boxes of wine.
Or Aperol spritzes or something.
Yeah, and that seems very, very understanding of the Muslim prohibition on alcohol.
I guess they have to drink all of it before they get to Gaza.
I guess, yeah, they don't. So, because it's haram, forbidden, and...
Well, it also just seems a bit strange that you're supposed to be bringing aid to help people, and you're boozing it up on the way to help them.
And how are you bringing aid in the form of non-alcoholic beverages?
Well, that's a good question. How much of the area that was supposed to be set aside for like beans and things for bread for the people was taken up with boxed wine?
And also like books on how to make cocktails.
Right. So that's a good question.
The mixologist took up an extra seat.
It does seem like this is just what do they call it? The next thing. It's just like just to get attention and.
Yeah, like your yacht space. I want my own flotilla, like lifestyles of the rich and famous. And Greta herself, there's been so many great memes about her in like a rubber ducky like type of like float. And yeah, she is annoying.
She was a climate activist who also, by the way, sailed to America during to attend one of these climate conferences back in 20.
Oh, she sailed. At least she wasn't on a jet.
It was back in 20. I think it was for 2017 or 18. That was one of the other shticks they did where they sailed the climate conference to show that they were more like climate friendly.
That I actually can get behind because I hate when all these people who talk down to you take their jets to Davos and use that. And like Meghan Markle, she's on her jet talking down to everyone. Sorry, I had to throw that in. Okay, so Greta.
Yeah, well, Piers Morgan would agree with you on that.
I know, Piers is not a fan.
He's not a fan. He's not such a huge fan of Israel, but he also is not a fan of Meghan Markle. So if you had to say, well, you know what, I'll take the good with the bad because, like, yeah, I like Israel, but you know, I really don't really like Meghan. So I'll take Piers because he's kind of on our side about certain things.
Right. My favorite thing he ever did, though, were these militant vegans in London. They bothered people as they were having a meat dinner at a very nice restaurant. So he brought them onto his show, and then he had a steak dinner delivered. So he ate it in front of them.
That's
so
good.
Piers is up there for me on that as well. The last thing I'll say about Greta is there's a great meme going around from the Babylon Bee, which is kind of an onion-esque Israeli onion. Speaking of onions, and they say that Hamas says, "Send Greta. We'll sign the ceasefire if you just send Greta back to Europe." So, and we forgot the last thing. That's Greta's from Sweden. So,
Yes.
what type of snacks did she bring on board to?
Do they have snacks in Sweden?
I don't know. Lingonberries?
Have you ever seen a Swede? Have you ever seen a Swede eat snacks?
In IKEA.
I mean, it's not. I don't know if I consider it a snack. It's like hot dogs and things.
Swedish meatballs.
I mean, is that
A meatball
snack?
on a stick.
Is that a snack?
So Greta's offering the Gaza refugees a meatball on a stick.
Is that what that's officially what she's bringing?
I'm guessing. I think it's an educated guess. All right,
Let's move on to number 3. Now
Thanks,
you're going to
Greta.
close your eyes on this one, right?
Yeah. Okay,
So you
so
don't
this
see what it
is
looks like.
agas tapuach the sea breeze.
What?
Sabras. It's I think it's a sea breeze. It's so it's got
Yeah, it's what it's. I don't know.
also these all are 5% alcohol.
Wait, it has.
Pear, apple, and Sabras. Is that like the
I
fruit?
thought Sabras is a cactus.
Yeah, like the fruit.
Cactus.
But it's somehow alcoholic.
Prickly pear. Tapuach is what, apple?
Yeah,
What's agas? That's
agas is pear.
pineapples?
Pear.
So this is just a whole fruit medley with alcohol, no?
With alcohol, yeah, enough to be 5%.
No.
So I'm hoping this is better because Israel does well with the juice. Oh, that's a lot. Okay.
Oh, God.
It's a gorgeous
I
color.
forgot. I should have given that to myself.
That's a nice color, actually. It's not a hideous bright green. Wait, can I just see what the alcohol is? I'm
Don't
curious.
show the audience the front.
I won't. Okay, I'll look at it later. Somehow there's some sort of alcohol. All right, so here we go. L'chaim.
Okay, so cheers. Yeah.
Cheers. Not bad.
It tastes healthy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having a good juice shot, like green juice.
Right. So it kind of feels healthy, but then you kind of doesn't really feel like you're doing something naughty like having alcohol.
Right, it feels kind of virtuous. And I could walk around like this with a straw in it. It doesn't look as, you know,
Right.
blatantly alcoholic, so.
Right.
I can stomach this. This is actually good. I like it.
Let's arrange these in terms of what we like the best. This is better.
Okay, so this
Watermelon
so far,
we didn't like.
this,
Okay. So watermelon, mojito,
I like the color, but
fruit
that's it.
thing. Fruit thing.
This is good. Do you want the rest? It's a shame to waste it.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I don't want to waste this.
I put it in the spittoon. We'll give it to the.
Oh, wow.
We'll give it to the staff afterward.
We're going to water the plants. Okay, last one. This is
So what about
actually...
can we have water to rinse out?
Yes.
Just like at the dentist.
I'll have my generic water.
I wonder, you know how you go to the dentist and they have that thing that like they put in your mouth that sucks up
Oh,
all
I
the
hate
whatever it is.
that. Oh.
Who do you think invented that? I mean, the old days in dentistry, they must have just been beating on your mouth with a hammer and nails.
That's why the dentist commits it.
A lot of dental instruments have not changed since the 15th century, right?
Yeah, they're torture instruments.
No, I'm saying that they've been using the same equipment.
Like a
It's
pitchfork.
No, it's very different than certain professions where like things progress.
Like an electric drill. Yeah.
Right, no, they've literally using kind of the same thing that they used. Anyway, so with the exception of the suction thing, which must be modern because they didn't have suction in the 12th century.
And the x-rays, yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear about monks in the monasteries ripping out people's teeth and suctioning out the blood. But they have suction. I wonder when they thought of that. Must have been happening is someone was being worked on in the dentist. And there was someone vacuuming in the background going,
Their drool.
and some dentist was like, oh, we could probably use the vacuum hose to suck all this up.
Oh, so they
And
put the actual vacuum
No,
on
I'm
it?
sure he just like thought about it, and then they made like a smaller one. And they're like, yeah, that works.
There were some bad incidents in the origin of it, like someone's tongue was vacuumed up. It sounds horrific, but
I'm sure, yeah, the first one was probably.
so
yeah.
now it's merely uncomfortable to go to the dentist, whereas before you took your life into your hands.
Well, you're saying because like if you Novocaine let you watch movies and stuff.
Yeah, I never went to a dentist with movies, but yeah.
I go to one where they they put on music.
Oh,
They always do this shtick.
mood music.
Yeah, they're like, what would you like to listen to? And I'm always like, yeah, put some heavy metal, some Guns N' Roses.
Pantera.
I'd like some 80s rap, man. And they're like, and then they put on whatever thing they were going to put on anyway, which is, yeah, like some boring mood music. Like,
Yanni.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but I'd like Bob Dylan and like 70s rock, please.
Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, they're like, no.
So stop asking me if I have a choice. I have no choice. And you're going to, no wonder everyone hates the dentist. Okay. Sorry, dentists. Okay, well, all right. Well, that was more successful. Finally, we have a Rosado. So I guess it's sort of like a rosé wine. It says it's from Italy, and it's 7% alcohol. So I assume this is going to be pink. So let's go. I love a good rosé in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's
Sparkling.
sparkling rosé.
So it's sparkling wine in a bucket.
In a pachit.
Here's
in
a question for you. So speaking of sparkling things, I think it's pronounced champagne or champagne or champagne.
Chambers?
No, champagne.
Champagne, yeah.
Champagne. I think that is legally has to come from France, right?
Yeah,
Is
from the
correct?
Champagne region.
Right, and so if it's not that, then it's called all sorts of other things.
Right.
Right.
Like cava rosé.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah.
But hold on a minute. Champagne comes in a bottle, and what distinguishes it from other things is it's fizzy, right?
Right.
How was that? How did they do that? Like 100 years ago.
Great question.
Champagne's been around a while, right?
Right, because they didn't have SodaStream back then. So how did they?
Well, how did they get the carbonation in it?
Right, I really don't know.
Like if you went back
He's
to
saying like,
I actually have the answer.
oh, well, our friendly production man is here.
It's a natural thing from wine. It's just they didn't have the glass bottles to do it up until about 100, 200 years ago. So you can.
Oh, it's
you can
already
do it
sparkling.
with all kinds of wine. It's just that.
Oh.
About 200 years ago, they didn't have the glass bottles to do it.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks for the fact check.
Thanks, Yuval. I think I'm going to give him some alcohol.
We have a fact-checking department in the back that's actually like 20 people, and they, as we speak.
Right.
Although this show seems completely scripted and just, we're just going back and forth. Actually, we actually run through this.
It's highly vetted.
It takes us 3 days of constant
labor,
practice.
Yeah.
And there's people in the back, fact checkers, who check every fact.
Little minions in the back.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that is said on this show.
Even the word
checked
the.
by 20 people.
Right.
And sometimes we get it wrong, like right now when we forget that, of course, champagne has existed for hundreds of years. And of course, carbonation is just always there.
Glass
it's just
bottles.
a science. It's just science. Now, the problem is in the modern era, people don't trust the science.
Because they think they have WebMD.
Well,
and they can
perhaps
go Google
because perhaps COVID was released from a lab and they tried to censor that for like 2 years, and we were put in like Facebook prison. So that's why people don't trust the science, because they were told that it came from like lemurs in a wet market when
Dr. Fauci is a liar.
Right. So that probably is why people don't trust the science. But anyway, the science tells us.
So trust us.
The science tells us that this has been around for hundreds of years, but not in a can.
But not in a can, and not called champagne in this case.
This is Rosato. I think this is called Rosato.
Rosado. So
Okay.
let's have some Rosado.
Yes.
Okay, I have a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Drink Rosado. It's good for you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Fine. Good. That's actually good. And I feel bad. I should have said a hagafen. I said a shahakol, but this
I
deserves a
thought you can
hagafen.
use hakol for everything.
You can. It can be a catch-all. But anyway, thank you, Hashem. This is delicious. I would get this. Let me try again.
It's a good question. So of all these, the wine is the one that actually is a ritual Jewish drink. I mean, right? I mean, that's why wine has to be kosher, and why if you're a religious,
Right.
observant believer,
Right.
You can't go around. You can't be around non-kosher wine. And when they make kosher wine, they can't have. I think they're. I don't know if non-Jews are not allowed. They're non-Jews. They're not allowed
To handle it, to open it.
A certain part of the process, like
Right.
like non-Jews can transport it on the back of a donkey as they would have done in the
Right.
3rd century BC. But I mean. But you can't have non-Jews, I think, in most of the process because
Right.
of the ritual.
The
aspect.
mevushal versus like the cooking, like the
Right.
versus non-mevushal. That's like a more of
because it's using
a restriction.
kiddush and other things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And then when you have it open for you in a restaurant, it needs to be someone who is shomer Shabbat.
Right. So right, not only Jewish, right, but someone who's observant. That's right.
It's taken to the point, like Israel, only in Israel, in my Jerusalem supermarket, that the cashiers know this prohibition. So they're so strict that they won't even like touch the actual bottles of wine when I buy them. They make me move them, even though that is not the prohibition. It's a real.
I don't understand. You go to some like Haredi supermarket.
No, I don't. I go to a supermarket on Pomach, and it's a chumrah that they invented. But maybe one day it'll be an actual halacha. So either way, this Rosado is good stuff. I would buy a 6-pack of it. Would you, Seth? Do you like it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have to say, I do buy these types of drinks sometimes. I mean, when I go sailing and things. And
So Seth is a sailor, by the way.
yeah,
Captain Frantzman.
Captain Haddock. I buy the G&Ts, the gin and tonics sometimes, and it's not bad. When I was in the States, I've actually made. I know that sounds really, down slope. I purchased the Jack Daniels and Coke in a can a few times.
See, I told you in America they're super advanced.
No, the Jack and Cokes at an airport. The big thing in America is also they do the hard lemonade.
Yeah.
And they have the White Claw, which I'm not really sure what the heck that is.
Yeah, that's hard seltzer.
Yeah.
That's great, actually.
So when you go to the States, you find like a massive amount of these things.
The good thing about the White Claw also is not only is it less expensive, but it's also like a good alcohol content for not a lot of calories. So if you're watching your weight,
really,
I would love a White Claw instead of sometimes something else.
How could they know how many calories? I mean, I don't understand. How can you?
These all have calorie. I guess it's estimated.
How do they have more calories in some than others?
I guess because seltzer has no calories.
Have you ever seen a calorie like under a microscope? How does it?
It's a midah, a measurement of energy. Like you need a certain amount of calories to do a certain amount of work, and people forget that. They think calories are evil, but
no, we know that people that do like high intense things like run marathons,
carbo load,
or people that work in construction or whatever, that they might have a high caloric intake.
Right. Or teenagers.
Right. Like I mean, like what's his name? That very famous bicyclist, Lance Armstrong. He would eat.
He would first use steroids and then he would.
He did not admit that. I don't think he really used.
Allegedly.
Look, Lance Armstrong. To be honest, to be fair, he was apparently using. I think at some point he did admit it. But the thing about him is, he was a phenomenal athlete, and he only used them because everyone else used them.
What a shame! Because
so in fact, he had to be first among equals, but he would have been anyway a good athlete. It's just he came of age when other people were doing it.
He shouldn't have tainted his legacy. He should have been a tattletale and told on everyone else, and then
but he had a sense of honor and omerta, and he refused to do it. I mean, but it's like the whole thing in baseball with Barry Bonds and what's his name, McGuire, when they were all steroid.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever admitted either, but that was like an issue in baseball. But lots of people were doing it. So therefore, you have to measure that era of home runs against itself because I mean, across the board, lots of these guys were allegedly involved in the
level the playing field.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to critique them if you say, well, all these people are doing it. Like, it's different if it's like one person and no one else is.
Right. I have to give an example as a woman, and a lot of women have issues with aging.
Do they?
And they do, believe it or not. So I think that the pressure of like getting Botox or plastic surgery is when everyone else is doing it.
It's exactly the point.
Right. So if you're walking around like looking your age, but everyone else looks bizarrely younger, sometimes not better, just younger, then there's more of a likelihood that you're going to get it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Although I think generally what I see online when they show these videos or whatever, they say, which do you think is better, the woman before or after the thing?
A lot of times
mostly
before.
The men will say before.
Yeah.
But women, it's like lots of things. Women will do that maybe to keep up with the Joneses of other women.
Right.
It's not really for the guys. The guys are like, oh, it's terrible.
I know, she looks like a poofy doll. But luckily, like in Jerusalem, it's less done around here. I think it's people have
Right.
less
Jerusalem
money.
is more of a natural, honest society.
Right. People wear pajamas
It's
in lieu of
authentic.
clothing.
People keep it real.
They're keeping it real.
Yeah, which I think is it's one of the positives about. I mean, the city has positives and negatives. But
A lot of
One of the
positives.
positives is that people are not being Botoxed up.
And they're not caught up in materialism quite as much.
Right.
That's for sure.
Although I have to say, I go to Tel Aviv because I go sailing, and I have to say the people there are quite good looking.
They are, because everyone
And
there,
they're
the
not being
average
Botoxed.
age.
They're just on the beach playing football and volleyball and surfing, and they tend to be quite good looking.
But they're also very young, so they naturally
Right, the
are
average age
good-looking.
there is like 21.
Yeah, but they do take care of themselves. It's a city like Sydney, Australia, that people are really active, so that helps.
Right, it's Tel Aviv and Sydney are similar. One of them has a city full of people who know how to use M16 rifles in battle. The other one doesn't. I mean, so there's some differences.
But there's an opera house in Sydney, so
They have an opera house. Yes,
they
that's
have a
true.
lot of Palestinians. So
I think
do
a lot
we.
of Lebanese
Right, but they have been very
who identify
anti-Israel.
with the Palestinian cause.
Right, so they don't identify as like.
Look, they
something
have
else.
large mammals that box, right? Marsupials and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And Tel Aviv has large mammals, but they do other things like, surfing and stuff.
Right, so I see a lot
I
of.
guess I would take the Tel Aviv mammals over the Australian.
And they
mammals.
both eat avocado toast, so that is good.
Well, they also eat that in California.
I know, but I don't know. I think avocado toast started in Sydney. So would you bring a portable,
Along with
or in Australia, would you bring a portable avocado toast like as your like picnic food to go with a can, or is that too highbrow? Like, what would you have as your snack to
Wait,
go
hold
with
on a
it?
minute. That means you have to toast the toast before.
You don't want it to get
take
soggy.
the avocado out and stuff?
Yeah, you don't want your poached egg to get soggy.
I just think the problem with avocado generally is once you've taken it out of the avocado thing, it's
the
shell.
peel. Yeah.
It starts to sometimes go bad a bit. I mean, there are ways to prevent it.
You can
by
keep the
putting-
pit in there, no?
Keep the pit in. Sometimes put other things like on top, like fresh things.
Right.
But there is this constant jihad to keep it fresh.
I know.
It's like taking mayonnaise on a picnic trip, to be honest. I mean, you're
The
just
risk of salmonella.
yeah, the time is ticking on
eat
this
it
one.
immediately.
Yeah, I just think you have to be a bit skeptical. But yeah, I mean,
So what portable food would you recommend? Would you go high end, low end, really low end?
I don't know, maybe like salted cured beef that you can slice pieces off of while you walk.
Or maybe you could just eat it, like just
How about
jaw
some of
on
that
it.
salt? Well, we were talking about the Swedes and their snacks. How about just some of that salted fish hanging from a yard arm or something? You could just take pieces of salted
You hold the
fish.
yardum in lieu of a selfie
Oh, these
stick?
poor Vikings, that's probably all they had when they were on their trips abroad or whatever.
It sounds uncomfortable, but
That's why when the Vikings got to places like Iceland, they're like, well, no, we're not going back to that crap hole. We'll just stay here. I'm not going to sit through the salted cod 3,000-mile trip.
but where could one get salted cod
In Israel?
on a stick?
In a
I
Russian-
don't think
in a
it's
Russian
readily
super-
available in
in a
Schufer-Sal.
Russian supermarket.
Really?
Yeah, you can find all sorts of
There is a
dried
Russian
fish.
supermarket on Agrippas, I believe.
Speaking of that, we should probably be rushing to wrap up.
Okay, well, Seth.
We've drunken all this alcohol, and
L'chaim.
we rate it. Sorry, wait. This is kind of the way it started, and it's basically the way we liked it.
The way it ended. So
One,
this,
two.
I would give
is
this
like
a solid 8.
This is like a 25. This is like a 18. This is like a 3 and a 1.
Exactly. Or if I
Yeah.
had to do 10, I would give this an 8.5 to 9, 6, 7.
Right.
I don't know, 2, 4, 0.5.
Minus. It's
Yeah.
minus 75.
Okay, so there we go. So guys, when you're getting your nondescript alcohol cans, follow our lead.
Right. For a summer of fun.
Summer of fun, l'chaim to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.